Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again for our social media audience. We're about to bring in our friends over on IG. We got them connected. Then we're going to bring in our friends on Amazon Live as well. If you guys are new to us, we're going to tell you how you can be able to stay connected with myself as well as with our guest. And we are now live on Amazon Live. We want to welcome our Amazon Live audience to our broadcast of Cyrus Webb Presents today. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the books by our next guest. And I have to be very careful now because she has a new award, as you can see around her neck. I'm talking about best-selling author, motivational speaker, and coach and media personality, Dr. Teresa A. Smith. Dr. Taz is back with us. She's had a pretty good December. She won an award for her first book, Stronger. You guys can see it there. For those joining us on the Amazon side, we have it highlighted in the carousel for you guys. For those joining us on social media, we'll let you know to get your own copy of the book. I want to talk to Dr. Taz about the recent honor, but also what she's been able to do since that book came out, but why that is still resonating with readers. Also, she's gearing up for a very busy 2025 as well. We'll talk to her about that and let you guys know how to stay connected with her. Dr. Taz, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Cyrus.
Look, it's exciting. I was excited to get the exclusive. This is your first interview since the award. Is that right?
Yes. Well, sort of. Yes. We did a little rehash with Chosen Pen, but as far as real interview, you're right. This is the first one.
Awesome. Okay. So first of all, congratulations again. Your book, Stronger, won first place at the Chosen Pen Literary Gala that was held this month. And I have to tell our audience, I was on stage, so I didn't even know, and I told Taz this afterwards, I didn't even know she was going to be winning. But it was so funny when they called her name. She was busy doing something else, either with one of the other winners or something, yes. And she was like, what? Huh? So, Taz, take us into that moment. What was it like for you when they told you, when you figured out at least that you had won?
Well, Sasha, you're right. I was trying to take a picture for another author who had won. And so I'm in the middle of the aisle, and I'm taking a picture. And I hear them saying something, but I don't know what they're saying. And so I'm taking pictures. And then I start back towards the table. And then I think the folks were like, well, you won. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I won. And so then I come to the stage and then, they're telling me you won first place. And I'm like, I won first place. And I can't remember if I screamed or what, because it was like, okay, I won, and it was just like, it's still overwhelming because it's like, I was in the help mode. Those who know me, they know I'm always doing logistics or whatever, helping someone else. And I'm like, oh my God, I won. Yeah. And it's been, my mind has been blown ever since that moment, Cyrus.
Yeah. I think there's a lot for us to learn, Taz, about experiences like this. And I hope our audience is going to enjoy this conversation, but also I hope they see something that can help them in this conversation too. Because what Taz just said, without even, I think, realizing what she was saying, is that a lot of times we're so busy in the work of it all, right? We don't even realize what we have done and what we have achieved. So we don't give ourselves credit for it, right? Because we're so busy doing, we don't even think about it. What was it like for you to kind of sit with it, at least briefly, Taz, to think about this book that began this whole journey that you've been on, just won this award in 2024?
Cyrus, I believe the book was published in 2017. So that's 7 years later. Oh, and 7, assuming that is the correct year, then that 7 is the year of completion. And so for me, everything is not completed, but it shows me that it takes time. And I think that we sometimes rush. We think it's going to just happen overnight, and it doesn't. But I will tell you, I have been reflecting, and I'm trying not to get emotional. I get emotional with everybody about everything, and it's okay.
Yes.
I got emotional yesterday talking to a friend on the phone. I told him I'm sorry, but I got emotional. When I think about where I have come from, not just my story, but just even, releasing the book, all the things that have happened because of my story, I'm humbled. But I'll be honest, I hadn't been putting the pieces together because I've just been so busy in the work of it all. And what I've realized over the last couple of days is that, you know, seeds were being planted and they were being fertilized and they were being nurtured, they were being watered. But I just hadn't realized it was almost time for a harvest, if that makes any sense. Because I've been the laborer. I've just been working.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is one of those things that is so, it almost goes back to what Jesus said about physician heal thyself, right? Because we tell other people as coaches to take the time. We tell other people as coaches to savor the moment. And we don't do it, right? I say I'm really talking about you, but I don't want you to feel alone. So
well, thank you guys for joining me. Somebody on this island by myself.
Yeah, but so how does that feel now to be able to practice what you preach?
Cyrus, I'm just too transparent. I was having a meltdown today. Yes, I was having a meltdown. And I was talking to someone and I'm like, I need help. And I was going over, they're like, well, I still don't understand what your problem is. Now, I'm the problem. And I'm just going on and on and on. And they said, I still don't understand the problem. Well, after some time chatting with them, I knew I was the problem. I finally came to this conclusion, and hopefully this will help someone else. I always say that you don't measure your success by anyone else's barometer. And I mean that.
Yeah.
And I'm never in competition with anyone.
Yeah.
But I'm in competition with myself. And that was the aha moment that I got today. You're in competition with yourself. But Teresa, you've already won. Because you can't really be in competition with yourself. So you're making progress. You cannot conquer the world in a day. You cannot do your things to do list, which is never ending in one day. So again, it's that I'm putting unwarranted pressure on myself, unrealistic expectations. And it's like, what's your problem? So when we talk about the story and stopping, I think if I could ever stop, Cyrus, and just relish the moment, give me a week or two, because I need at least 2 weeks to relish the moment, then I think my mind would reset and I would understand that you are accomplishing your goals and you're only in competition with yourself, which doesn't make sense because how can you compete with yourself? You need to settle down. And I think, and I'm still massaging that, guys. I think what it does is, for me, sometimes it makes me feel down. I'm not going to say sad. It just makes me feel down, or it zaps my energy.
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to be.
Yeah. You said something to me and we were having a conversation. I'm not going to go into the details, but the statement stayed with me after because this was just the second time Taz and I have been in the same room together since we've known each other, was at the event. Again, shout out to Chosen Pen. But you said something about someone saying to you about they thought you would be farther. And let me tell you why that resonated with me when you said it, because it goes to the point you were just making. Who is anyone to say where we should be on the journey that is ours, right? Especially when they're not where they need to be on their journey, right? But it's very easy for people to try to tell us. That's why I used to laugh at people. Now I just get them told. When people used to tell me, oh, you know what? You would be a lot farther if you did this. Now, this is not someone who's even doing what I'm doing. But they're professor, though, and they can tell me that I would be farther. This is what you really need to do. And they're not doing it. But that's what they would tell me. And I think to myself that when you talk about that, to me is sad. So I want to ask you about that, because as you are going through this process, Taz, of being an award-winning author for this book, Stronger, a book that I have had to try to bring Taz back to over and over again, because she'll write another book and say, well, that's great, but you can't forget Stronger. It's because this is the launching pad. Just like for me, Word That You Live By is the launching pad. I've done other books, but there's no book you see me talking about more than Word That You Live By. You know what I'm saying? How does that feel, Taj, to know, to the point I was making? You've written other books. You've had other books that became Amazon bestsellers. How does it feel to know that this book is the one that continues to resonate with people?
Sorry, it makes sense when I stop and think, because this is the book that I have been, as I just let it fall on the floor. This is the book that, I got several of them, guys, but this is the book that I have been writing my whole life. My mom and I, we would sit and have these philosophical conversations. And I know she was like, I'm so tired of this child talking about this stuff. But I was trying to figure out life. I was trying to figure out, how do I navigate the trauma? I was trying to figure out the people that I was seeing. And why some people seemed to have it together, and then some people didn't have it together. And I think because it really is me. It's me, as much as I can tell you, that won't shock you. It's me, it's who I am. And if you were to strip off the little bit of makeup I put on and pull my hair back and put in pin curls or whatever, that's the person that you get in this book. She's real. Sometimes for some people, it may be a little raw. It might be a little edgy, but it's me. And I think it's so many people's story, bits and pieces of it are other people's story. And I think that's why it resonates. I think also that's why it won, because it is an honest depiction of my life, and the ups and downs and the things that I have overcome, that I'm still overcoming. Because the one thing that I've learned is, life is a journey. It's not a destination. And every time you think you've you've gone to the right destination, then something will happen. And then you back on that road again. And I think that with the different things that I've encountered, from the incest to the police violence, to the loss of my sight, to the bullying, all the different things, I think that it resonates with people, because whether it's happened to them, they may have a family member or a friend or a co-worker or someone in their church or wherever organization that has had some of these similar experiences. And I think that's the reason why it resonates with folks. And the reason why I think, because you have brought me back to it, you can't forget your story. And I think my story also keeps me humble too, Cyrus. I don't get the big head, because I know who this little black girl is. I know who she is.
What's so interesting, Taj, is when Taj says something, and I've never brought this up before. And I don't even know if Taj remembers this or not, that what she wrote in this book. I'm going to actually read it today for the first. I've never read this passage before. But after writing Stronger, she wrote books like Transformation. She wrote books like Transformation and The Bounce Back. She has a new book, Dr. Taj Speaks. But Taj has always been a person who has been about her faith, but also been spiritual. Even though I think if she had never wrote another book, Stronger still would have given everyone all the messages of the others, in my opinion. And I want to read something that Taj wrote in Stronger that to me encapsulates the message of transformation and transformation to bounce back. Now, if you guys have your copy of this award-winning book, it's in chapter number 5, A Faith-Shaped Life. And this is what you wrote, Taj, for those who have the print edition on page 74. Taj writes, I began my spiritual rediscovery with the process of affirmation. I resolved to never stop the positive statements of affirmation that I began in my childhood. I still do this in my life today. I wake up every morning and speak positive statements and encouraging scriptures to build my confidence. They have continued to give me strength and uplift me for decades. Positive affirmations are charging stations to fill you up after life's draining moments. If you refuse to believe positive thoughts about yourself, no one else will. You set the tone for what people believe about you and what you believe about yourself. Because believe the best and invest these moments into yourself. Taj, that is the message of transformation and the bounce back.
Yeah.
When you think about, and this is why I kept bringing you back to this book, because I think a lot of times we think we need more, but just like with Dorothy, you've had the answers all along. How was that like? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry. but it makes for great television anyway. But
It
hey,
does.
Tina, good to be able to see you. Core Women, hello. Hey, good to be able to see you as well. How does it feel to know that to hear those words and to think those words could have come out of transformation? Those words could have come out of transformation to bounce back. How does that feel to know that those words that you wrote in your very first book are still resonating not only with readers today, but with you today?
What I'm going to say, Cyrus, is when God gives you something,
Mm-hmm.
He really gives you something. And I think that I I knew, but I didn't know what He had given me. And this is going to sound strange, what I'm getting ready to say, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to read stronger. Because when you write something, I normally say I'm living the other books that I've written because I always am.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I have to go back and read them because I'm living them every day. It's like I'm quoting things out of them.
Right.
But with Stronger, I think in my mind at the time when I completed it, I thought it was one and done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason I moved forward. But when you read that to me, you're right. And you've said this to me before. It is the foundation for everything that I do because it's how I think, it's how I live. Like I said, today I was kind of in a funk, I'm listening to my music. I'm listening. I'm quoting scriptures. I'm doing all the things that I do, but I needed stronger,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know that I needed stronger until this moment. So that's
I
not.
think it goes. I think it goes as a reader. I can say this next part. I think what December has shown you, Taz, is that the world needs stronger too. And I think that to me is the bigger thing. As you said, nothing happens by accident, right? And
No.
so, I just released the 10th anniversary of Word That You Live By. Maybe it's time that there's a new edition of Stronger,
Yeah.
because there is so much steel in this book that resonates in 2024, and I think that's why, as you and I talked about, publicly as well as privately, everything begins with the foundation.
Yes.
Everything. And what I think about sometimes, and I'm talking about now as an outsider,
Mhm.
because just like Taz says, she can be honest, I can be a little honest too. I think what happened in my perspective for you me as a reader
Mhm.
is that this was the hometown that people try to run from,
Yeah.
and they want to escape the hometown and go somewhere else, and that's
Mhm.
what you've been able to do with transformation to bounce back. But even with transformation, it still goes back to Stronger.
Sure does. It
you
does.
know and so I think it's one of those things that you can't, just like they say you can always go home. I think 2024 is showing you
Yeah.
that you can always go home,
Mhm.
you know and that someone else needs this. I think that's the big thing. So let's lighten it up a little bit,
Okay.
and reset. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. So if you guys on Amazon, if you have not gotten your copy of Stronger, you can be able to get the paperback edition here. She has it on sale right now for only $7.99, or you can get the Kindle edition as well. You also will see here other books here on Amazon as well. For those joining us on social media, you all will be able to find the links that will bring you guys over to Amazon to get the other books as well. Also, if you have any questions or comments for Taj, you can put those in the chat as well. And Tina says hello to both of y'all winners.
Tina.
And Tina also is a winner as well.
Yes.
Tina, we were giving her flowers earlier on Words That She's Lived By. I want to talk about how your story has helped people, because you couldn't hear it because, again, you were busy. But the judge was talking about why this book resonated. I don't know if your sister told you about what she
Mhm.
was. Anyway, so she was talking about why this book would resonate with readers. But how does it feel to know, Taz, that something that is so personal is resonating with readers, both when you wrote it, but also today?
Oh, sorry. It feels good because as an author, when I write, I want my material to resonate. I want it to help other people, and knowing that tells me it's my pat on the back. You've done a good job.
Yeah.
And then, as relates to just the arc of this book, it reinforces. That's not a pat on the back, guys. That's a pat. That's a hit. It reinforces that when God put this idea of a book in my mind all those years ago when I was a little girl, that He did that for a reason, and that I I didn't understand the reason then, and I'm not going to really say I understand it now, but I know it's bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to sit with this and have conversation with Him about what it is that you want me to really do with Stronger, because it's bigger than this, what I thought.
In chapter 8 of the book, I Am Enough, you talk about one of your biggest role models. And yes, you talk about Oprah, but that's not who I'm talking about here. I'm talking about your mother.
Oh, yes.
And I've never read this passage before, but I think this is an interesting passage of what you said when I was prepping for this segment. You say this in talking about confidence, Taz, and then your mother. True confidence is the ability to walk into any situation, even as an environment that you've never been in, and walk away intact. That is true confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence comes, this is on page 107, confidence comes from feeling good about yourself, regardless of your background or story. You may not belong in the room according to credentials, but confidence causes you to ignore that. You may not possess the skills or training to accomplish the task, but true confidence is overcoming your deficiency. And then you say this: my mother taught me the brutal reality of life, always reminding me that most people don't succeed the first time that they try something. This is obvious now, but sounded more like discouragement at the time. In her own way, she taught me a vital lesson that shaped my mindset. Even when you fail, continue forward confidently. I attribute much of my success to this shaping. She taught me to approach life with realism rather than idealism. To this day, in everything that I do, I aim to complete it with confidence. I want to talk about that lesson from your mom, because again, a lot of times we do have people say things to us, and we may not receive it in the way that they mean it at the time. What was it like for you to reflect on those words from your mother, Taz, and to think about that today?
Well, Mom is an interesting person. Y'all know those that know Mama, Miss Gloria. Miss Gloria is interesting. And and so when I think about it, she really, Mama. I've got something coming, guys, that's been coming for a while, and my goal is to have it to you in 2025, which will give you an insight to my mother and the other component of Stronger, how I became strong and that confidence. My grandmother was an interesting woman who died before I was born. And so she instilled a lot of different life lessons in my mom. And my mom, in turn, did that with me. Next said to me years ago that she groomed me. And I often will say that to her again, and she did. She groomed me to be confident, because that's what my grandmother did for her. And my mother will talk about a time when we're Eastern Stars and Mason Stars, and we were doing the floor work. And I think either her slip fell off or whatever, or I think it literally happened. It was a half slip. She moved, she stepped out that slip, threw it to the side, and kept going. And that's her motto. Whatever life is throwing at you, you have to adjust and take care of it on the floor, which means that you have to be confident when you walk into any room, regardless of what your skill set is. And then whatever occurs, you got to walk out of it, as it says in the book, still being intact, because it's about how you perceive that you did. You're not going to always do things 100%, but nobody does. And in order to protect who we are as individuals, and if we think about it, our core, because it is our heart, is very vulnerable. It's a very sensitive area. So you have to insulate yourself so that when all this negativity is happening around you, you don't let it detract from you. Because as you and I know, some people, they don't bounce back from the negativity. Mm-hmm. And so, I appreciate my mother. She's an interesting person, Miss Gloria, but I got the lessons. And I'm very thankful for that, because I didn't get the attention that I needed when I was first talking to them about the incest. I would not have, without the way she raised me, and without God, I would not be sitting here. But it's how she raised me that helped me to manage the trauma in the only way that I knew how at that time.
Well, that's interesting to hear you say because it's funny. Again, the comparison between what I read and transformation to bounce back,
Mm-hmm.
because it really shows how that again that lesson has been keep coming back,
Yeah.
right? And the importance of that of not losing yourself and the danger that can happen when you're running on empty,
Oh, yes.
right? So it's interesting.
Transformation.
Yeah. So look, so it's interesting to hear Todd say she got the lesson.
Because I'm just like everybody else. That's the reason why I think that really why stronger is so important too. Because
Yeah.
I think that you think that you've written the book, you're stronger now. Well, you
Yeah.
still gotta live. And
Yeah.
I'm running on empty. You know how I was in the bounce back. They had to put me in a hospital, on
Yeah.
and on and on. And it's like if you got the lesson, why is it that you then keep tripping up?
Mm.
Because it's called life.
Change is challenging.
The first chapter is transformation, guys. The first chapter is
Yeah,
transformation.
yeah, yeah. Change is challenging. That's one of the things that she says in the beginning of this book here. Todd, you've been able to use your platform now, of course, in many ways. One way, of course, is with your show, Transform with Ties. How does that feel to know that you're able to, that yes, you are still learning, as we all are still learning. You're still growing, like we all are still growing. But how does that feel to use your platform to help other people to show their journey and their growth?
So I think that's it's like a company piece. And that I absolutely love because just as I'm constantly learning from you, I'm learning from other people. I want other folks, the general public, I want them to learn. I want my audience to learn. So being able to bring people in front of them who have life lessons that they can share and they can share their journey, their hiccups, their backslid here, backslid there, all of those things. I think it's as a personality, I think that's the best part of what I do because not only does it refuel me, I get to share stories that then hopefully will refuel other people so that they can then, settle down for a moment or two and then continue their path. Because I think if I didn't do that, well, let me say it this way. We're supposed to go out and serve. That's my faith. That's the way I see my Christianity. I'm supposed to go out and serve others and help them to have a better life here on earth. And this is part of that service for me, my mission. And so to be able to do that in the way that I do it, I love it. It's the best part of living for me right now.
Yeah. So, Taz, you teased something for 2025. What else should our audience be on the lookout for?
Well, Cyrus, I've got several books that are in the work. And, it's interesting that you mentioned that Stronger is not done. No, Stronger is not done. I'm going to retweak Stronger a little bit and I'm going to put it back out there because I'm still, as you guys can see, I'm still wrestling with Stronger. And when you point out those passages and I hear them, I'm like, yeah, it is the foundation. And I'll be honest, it's my firstborn and I didn't give my firstborn the attention I should have given her or him. And so I'm going to do that. Also, I have been working on a book, and I feel like it's about to be 2 decades now. But I'll go back to that. I'm not exaggerating, guys. I think it was 2003 that we started talking about it. And it's a book about the lessons that I learned from my grandmother through my mom. And so my goal is to get that book out. My parents are getting older, and this is a book my mom and I have been working on for years, and I just haven't finished it. So we're going to get that done. I got a couple other books in the hopper, and of course, Cyrus, I love to cook. And my daddy had the nerve to say to me at Thanksgiving, Cyrus, I hadn't shared this with you. He said, "When the next cookbook coming out?" I said,
Oh,
next year, Daddy, next year, Daddy, next year. Because, I have this cornbread recipe that I shared with him. And so I had made his cornbread and he approved it. And I'm like, next year, Daddy, next year. So I'm going to start cooking live again in 2025. And so I'll refine my recipes and I got to get that cookbook out because my daddy doesn't ask me for anything. But he did say, when's the cookbook coming out? The new cookbook
Oh,
that says I got to get that cookbook done too. And of course, Jay and I are back on IG Live on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, talking about what's going on in the world, what's going on in family dynamics, and all these different things. And so I look at that as another part of my mission to help spread joy and insight abroad. And so excited about that. And I'm trying to think, Cyrus, have I missed anything that's going on? Because you didn't know about the cookbook, and I
no,
thought
no, I didn't. But it was great to meet Anjaya too. After hearing so much about her and watching her on the show, it was great to be able to see her in person. It's amazing how social media can make you feel like you already know someone, and
exactly.
meeting her for the first time. A lot of great things coming up for sure, Taz. Last thing I want to ask you before we let you go, and that is your advice for others. This will probably be our last conversation on air for our audience solo before the end of the year. What advice do you give to people about the importance of not giving up on themselves as we're wrapping up the year?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is remember, you're not an island and you cannot do everything by yourself. There are people that I reach out to help me with this, to help me with that. Angelia helps me with the show that we do on Tuesday night. As a consultant, I help people with many different things, from writing things to event planning to helping set up 501c3s. So what I would say to people as we go out of 2025, go out of 2024 into 2025, look at your life first of all, because I've been doing this and I've been saying it to my students. I'm saying it to you guys. Reflect on what has occurred this year. Reflect on what you've accomplished. Stop, celebrate it, rest, reset. Then look at what you want to do in 2025 and be realistic about it. You can accomplish a lot of things in 2025, but you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Those things that you need help doing, find the right people to assist you so that you're not frustrated. And when you look back on 2025, you'll be able to check off quite a few things that you had on your list that you wanted to accomplish. And above all, I would say, remember, life is a journey. It's not a destination. And so if you have to stop along the way, that's okay. Just make sure you get back in your vehicle and keep driving at the appointed time.
Exactly. Again, everyone, Dr. Teresa A. Smith, the award-winning author, and also, of course, her book Stronger just won the award at the Chosen Pen Literary Awards Gala as well. You can get it and her other books here on Amazon. Taz, let them know how to stay connected with you.
Well, the best way, two ways you can find me, Dr. Teresa Smith on IG, and go to my bio. You can find all my contact information there, or you can go to askdrtaz.com, my website, askdrtas.com, and I'm on Facebook, Teresa Smith and Dr. Teresa Smith.
Jesus Black Man 23, good to be able to see you over there on IG. Appreciate all of you being with us. Taz, congratulations again. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus.
More than welcome. We thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.